At a time when diplomacy has been reduced to performance and photo ops, it's notable that a politician chooses clarity over obfuscation. And Starmer yesterday stood before a map of Ukraine spread across the table at the UK's Parliament joint headquarters in Northwood and issued an unambiguous warning. If a ceasefire deal is reached in Ukraine, it must be defended or it will be broken. And the man who would break it is, of course, Vladimir Putin. Let's be clear. Starmer isn't speaking in the abstract. His intervention is grounded in a grim empirical truth. Putin is a liar. He has a long record of violating ceasefires, international treaties, and diplomatic norms. That's if he's alive, but if he's not alive, who cares? The person who is acting in the name of Putin is a liar. Mendacity oozes from his cheeks. From the Minsk agreements to the Budapest memorandum, history tells us that Russia treats unenforced agreements as temporary inconveniences on their road to power and to oppression. So Starmer's phrase, a deal without anything behind it, is something Putin will breach, is not hyperbole. It's a distillation of post-Soviet Russian foreign policy. And Starmer's remarks come during a meeting with military planners from 31 nations, what he called the Coalition of the Willing, aimed at transforming political consensus into military preparedness. His central message is both sobering, therefore, and realistic. Peace in Ukraine, if it comes, must not be built on wishful thinking, but on deterrence, infrastructure protection, air defence, and boots, albeit not British boots, on the ground. The same thing should have been established in Israel. How can you have a ceasefire if you don't have international peacekeepers on the ground? It vanishes. And here lies the rub. While Starmer made clear that UK troops would not be redeployed from NATO's eastern flank to Ukraine, he's equally adamant that Kyiv must be surrounded by guarantees, support by land, sea and air. RAF Typhoons may be called upon. NATO allies must help police the skies and the seas. This isn't a peacekeeping force in the traditional sense. It is, as defence sources put out, a reassurance force, a deterrent, not a mere symbol. And the urgency in Starmer's tone is unmistakable. As drone strikes continue to rain down on Ukrainian cities, most recently the Engels airbase attack and the massive assault on Odessa, the idea that Russia is preparing for peace is laughably optimistic. President Zelensky has echoed this, describing Russian actions as revealing their true attitude to peace. And yet the political clock is ticking. In Washington, Trump continues to push for a ceasefire, courting the illusion that an agreement, even one lacking enforceable protections, can quickly end the war. Peace talks are scheduled to take place in Saudi Arabia, led by US negotiators, notably without deep European involvement. Meanwhile, the French President Emmanuel Macron will convene a summit on March the 27th, aiming to stitch together European plans that risk being overtaken by American haste. And here Starmer is playing a careful game. He supports peace, but not at any price. He supports diplomacy, but not one-sided delusion. And crucially, he supports Ukrainian sovereignty, but not in name only in substance. As Foreign Secretary David Lammy rightly says, Putin should not be given a veto over the security architecture of post-war Ukraine. The spectre of American unilateralism looms large as Trump toys with cutting grand economic deals and proposing American ownership of Ukrainian energy infrastructure, a kind of neo-imperial landlordism. Starmer and his allies are trying to ensure that Ukraine isn't left exposed to a peace that is little more than a pause between Russian offensives. Sorry, I got my word wrong there. Indeed, British military intelligence paints a chilling picture. Up to 250,000 Russian soldiers dead, 900,000 casualties in total. And still, the Kremlin presses on with its meat grinder tactics, apparently indifferent to the scale of suffering both inflicted and endured. This isn't a rational adversary playing by 20th century rules of diplomacy. This is a regime that, when met with weakness, exploits it. When faced with resolve, stalls or retreats. And in that context, Starmer's insistence on preparedness is not hawkish bravado, but prudent statecraft. His words are not warmongering, but an attempt to ward off the very conflict that a naive ceasefire might reignite. To conclude, any ceasefire in Ukraine must not be a paper exercise. It must be underwritten by military reality, by coalition backing, and by the implicit promise that further aggression will be met with force. The world cannot afford another lesson in Putin's duplicity. And Starmer is right. Peace is not a document. It's a posture. And unless we hold that posture firm, the next chapter in this war may not be written in treaties, but in blood.